I told you this would happen. You thought you could get away with it, but you can't. This is my neighborhood, and your truck is gone. I knew something was wrong when I walked out at 6 a.m. to an empty parking spot and a spray of broken taillight glass like confetti at my feet. That spot wasn't just mine because I parked there a lot. It was mine because it's on my deed. The condo map has my unit number printed right on that rectangle. I pay the mortgage, the dues, and the property tax on it. But our HOA president, Brenda Sterling, with a tight smile and tighter clipboard, decided my truck looked trashy next to her shiny SUV. She sent a warning for improper vehicle aesthetics. I laughed at first. My truck is clean. It's old, sure, but it runs fine. Then one Friday night, she taped a bright orange sticker on my windshield. Violation, unauthorized vehicle. By sunrise, my truck was gone. I called the towing company. They said the HOA authorized it for abandoned vehicle. Abandoned? I drove it the night before. I marched to Brenda's door. She opened with that same tight smile. Rules are rules, she said, and tried to shut the door in my face. I blocked it with my foot. That spot is deeded to my unit, I said. She shrugged. Not if it lowers our property values. I brought my deed to the next board meeting. 5 neighbors sat there like statues. I handed the paper across the table. Brenda barely looked at it. This is a community matter, she said. We voted on stricter appearance standards. One neighbor stared at his shoes. Another whispered, sorry, like he was scared to be heard. I appealed. I wrote emails. I left messages. Brenda answered with the same 4 words. Rules are rules, sir. Funny she called me sir, like it added respect to the slap. The tow yard wanted hundreds in fees. I paid because my job couldn't wait, but I paid with my hands shaking. I was angry, humiliated, and done with being polite. That night, I spread my papers on the kitchen table. Deed, bylaws, maps, the whole HOA packet, and I read. The bylaw said the board cannot regulate a deeded spot without a vote of the owners and a lien change. There was no vote. My spot was legally mine. Then I searched the tow company. Guess who owned it? Brenda's brother. The last name matched the business filing like a neon sign. That was the moment the revenge plan clicked into place. Not petty, not loud, just sharp and legal. First, I filed a police report for an unlawful tow. The officer took the report, bored until I slid the copy of my deed across the desk. His eyebrows went up. Second, I sent a certified letter to the board and the property manager with the same deed, a printout of the bylaw page, and the business record showing Brenda's family tie to the tow company. I gave them 72 hours to return my fees and apologize in writing, or I'd file in small claims and report them to the state HOA Oversight Office. Third, I printed flyers. Simple, black and white, and taped them on the community board. Know your deeded rights, unlawful towing. I included the statute number and a link to a free legal clinic. On day 2, Brenda ripped my flyers down while I watched from the mailboxes. Slander, she snapped. Truth, I said, and pulled out my phone. I filmed her balling up the papers and throwing them away. Neighbors stopped to watch. A couple people laughed. Someone whispered, "Is that about the truck?" The story spread faster than the HOA newsletter ever would. People started asking me for copies of the bylaws. By day 3, the property manager finally emailed. Let's discuss. I replied with a meeting time, public, at the clubhouse. When I walked in, half the neighborhood was already there, phones ready. Brenda sat at the front like a queen with a paper crown. I handed her the deed again. That spot is mine, I said, slow and clear, like I was reading to a child. You had no right to tow, and your brother making money off HOA actions is a conflict of interest. A murmur rolled through the room. Brenda's smile twitched. We did nothing wrong, she said, and actually tried to gavel. The meeting closed. That was when the door opened and the city inspector walked in with the officer I'd spoken to. Remember the broken glass? Turns out the tow truck had cracked a storm drain grate, pulling my truck at a bad angle. The inspector held up photos. "Who authorized this?" he asked. Everyone looked at Brenda. She tried to pass the blame to the property manager. The manager held up both hands. "I have no record," she said, and pointed to Brenda's clipboard. The officer asked for the authorization form. Brenda shuffled papers and produced a copy with her signature. The inspector took it, glanced at my deed, and then turned to the room. "You can't tow from a deeded space like this," he said. "And the damage to public property, someone's paying." Neighbors started filming in earnest. There were gasps, a couple giggles, and one elderly man clapped once, loud. Brenda's face went red, then white. She muttered something about protecting standards, but no one was buying it. The officer took a statement. The inspector wrote a violation for the HOA. The property manager scribbled notes like her pen was on fire. 2 weeks later, we were in small claims court. Brenda sat with a lawyer. I sat with my folder in a calm I hadn't felt since the tow. I told the judge my truck was towed from a deeded spot. I showed the deed, the bylaw, the lack of any vote, the video of Brenda tearing down flyers, and the business filing linking her to the tow company. The judge asked 2 questions. "Is this the deed? Was there a vote of owners?" The answers were yes and no. He rubbed his forehead and then spoke clear and slow. "I'm ordering the HOA to pay damages for the tow, court costs, and a penalty for improper enforcement. And any conflict of interest with towing must cease immediately." Brenda didn't look at me when the gavel fell, but I heard neighbors in the back whisper. Finally, and about time, the HOA cut me a check and mailed a letter calling my spot deeded exclusive use, like it was a brand new idea. The tow company lost the HOA contract. The broken storm drain got fixed. At the next meeting, Brenda resigned to focus on family. People snickered at the phrasing because we all knew what that meant. She avoids me now. When I park, I back in slow, just for the drama. The spot fits like a glove, like it was always meant for me because it was. Peace is quieter these days. No orange stickers, no tight smiles. Just neighbors saying hey and swapping recipes at the mailbox like a normal community. And sometimes, when the evening light hits the fresh paint lines on my spot, I smile and think about that moment in court. When the judge looked at my deed and then looked at Brenda like she was a kid who got caught cheating, that look. Worth every late-night read, every flyer, every careful step. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It just had to be right. Please subscribe to Karen Conflict for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.